Morning. Little coffee. Get the mind ready for the day. It's crazy, isn't it, where we can link certain behaviours to get the mind ready for the day. So I've just said coffee, get the mind ready for the day. Yeah, it does have an effect. It's a stimulant. Wake you up a little bit. Do I drink too much? Probably. Have I tried to make changes in the past with it? Yes. Have I made changes with it? I don't drink as much. But I love a coffee. Anyway, what an interesting week. Interesting week. Triggers. That's been the focus of the clients, the mindset working with clients and around getting to a place of least resistance where they'd rather be, looking at what challenges they have within their lives. What can we do to make life a little bit more like that? Because life's not a straight line, life is very much up and down. But what can we do here? Can we find some calmness within the rough sea, within the storm? I believe we can. We just need to know what interventions we need to look at. So we've looked at some EMDR, getting into the REM, where the mind starts to be able to balance out what's happening in your life, be able to break the habit of being yourself, meaning breaking these triggers, fetching the drama into the now, and being able to work on that to make it less intense, if you like. So if you scaled it 1 to 10 and it's up there about a 9 or 8, 9 and 10, when we do a little bit of EDMR work or some EFT, emotional freedom techniques, we're getting it further back down to a 2 or a 3 where it becomes more manageable. And if something's more manageable, you're not getting overwhelmed and overconsumed like you are when it's up there, an 8, 9 or a 10. So we can notice the change. And the more we notice the change within ourselves, we're developing some internal references and some strategies to be able to get ourselves a little bit further down the scale. So this is good for anxiety. It's good for people who've got fear responses. It's good for people who's had an experience in their life and they keep going back to that experience and it becomes into the present and then they're reliving it because it can overwhelm them and overconsume them and give them that real-time experience for when it in the now to when it happened maybe 15 years ago. So if you've got some concerns and some issues what's happened a long time ago, go and research this EMDR and emotional freedom techniques. Now you can link that into anchors and triggers what serve you well. So if I look round in my shed, I have certain pictures of people, certain statements on the wall, photos, medals. It all triggers me off into a state. And I know when I come into the shed, it's a place of work. Because when you go to, or if there's people, places and events in your life, we get triggered off when we have an internal experience, emotions and feelings. Now, if you can preempt it where you're going to go, and let's just say that you have a negative experience, but if you can preempt that before you go and learn to fetch the emotions and feelings down into a more controllable state, a more manageable state, and look for the gaps between the waves, then it becomes a little bit more manageable. So lots of people I know use vision boards, but use vision boards to trigger you off into a state to be able to feel the calmness, because it's the calmness that you need to look for when you're overwhelmed and overconsumed by your emotions. So you need to work on the body, because if you work on the body, it affects the mind. And if you work on the mind, it affects your body. But sometimes it's better to work from the behavioural aspect rather than trying to change it cognitively, which CBT has a place. But for me, moving the body, working on the body, creating anchors, using some emotional freedom techniques, tapping, using some EMDR, the eye movement, getting into the REM state where the mind just naturally organises your brain. It has massive benefits, and when you're in that place of where you've got calmness, then you can set some anchors, set some triggers for yourself. And it could be just the rubbing of the fingers together, or it could just be a slight tap somewhere, or it could be something you're saying to yourself aloud, or it can be a colour you see, like my red band, which a lot of you know why I have that, because when I look at the band, it reminds me of Willow and the reasons for why I do certain things in my life, and it aligns me. And I do it that often and touch it. It's the emotion, what comes out, because that's triggered a state in me, a state where it's very positive, where I feel quite indestructible. I can just keep going and just keep going and keep going. And I use that, and I used it last year in Turkey when I did the Ironman 70.3. So look into triggers, look into some EMDR, look into getting into some REM, and REM is when you're sleeping, but you can train yourself to get into that to give some order in your mind. Thoughts for today.